Hi, I'm Jeff Gonzalez, president of Trident Concepts, and today I'm here with AR15.com, beautiful North Texas at the ETTS facility. And I want to take a moment to thank our ammo sponsor, Winchester Ammunition, for supplying us ammunition for today's video. And today, what I want to talk to you about is how to shoot subcompact pistols. So now, in today's concealed carry world, we're seeing a lot of attention being given to these subcompact pistols. They have come a long way from the 5 to 10 year kind of mark where we really didn't have a lot of options for these subcompact pistols. Now we've got some amazing pistols out there. And with their popularity growing, we're seeing more and more of them coming through our shooting classes, which makes sense. It's what people want to carry. They want to get better at shooting what they're going to carry. However, there are some challenges. And what I want to do is address some of these challenges and give you some tips on what you can do to improve shooting subcompact pistols. One of the most common feedback points that we get is questioning their purchase decision after maybe the first magazine or two, maybe even up to a box of ammo. They really are kind of potentially regretting the purchase. And the reason why is because they're learning that it's a little bit more challenging to shoot than what they were expecting. So let's talk about what are some of the challenges. First, it's the size. The very same thing that makes it such a popular platform is also what makes it very challenging to shoot. Small. When you think concealed carry, you naturally think small. So it's small. When it's small, it's also going to be lighter. So being small means it's hard to interface with it. Being lighter means that it's going to have an exaggerated recoil impulse compared to something that's heavier. The other thing that we see is that a lot of times the sight systems are so short and just really poor selection of sights that it is hard to actually improve your shooting accuracy. The other problem that I see with a lot of these subcompacts is that they didn't always have the best fire control system. And that meant that they were horrible to pull as far as a trigger was concerned. They had a lot of creep, or they had just this grittiness to them, or there was a tremendous amount of take up. Whatever the case, a lot of that has changed with some of the modern subcompacts that we see. Now, let's talk about what are some of the things that you can do to get better at shooting subcompacts. All right, the first one is probably the one that nobody wants to hear. Get stronger. So when we talk about getting stronger, what I mean is, particularly with our grip strength, trying to improve our grip strength is going to have a positive effect on not just shooting subcompacts, but on shooting some of the other full-size, even compact pistols. But really what it means is that my grip strength is improving so that I can actually apply pressure where I need it. Right? And there's a lot of things that you can do to improve your grip strength, but one of the things that I tell you is you want to do something that creates an isometric hold. So you want to avoid the clinching effect of grip strength. And what you want to do is you want to hold something or carry something for an extended period of time. And that is what isometric tension is going to do, or that's going to help build your isometric strength that allows you to hold that gun and maintain a positive crush grip for the duration of your shooting strength. All right, so now let's talk about what do I do to improve the actual interface with the grip. So when it comes time to gripping the subcompacts, what you're going to find is that many of the things that you normally would do are going to remain the same. We're not going to be changing a lot of things. So I still need to go ahead and wrap my hand around the pistol as best as I can. Now, sometimes the solution that many people seek to improve their grip is to add surface area down to the base of the magazine. Something like a pinky extension, which isn't too bad, or perhaps a +2 extension, or even an extended magazine with an entire grip surrounding it. The problem with those options is that it's extending that grip, or it's extending the length of the base of the magazine, which means that it's extending the length when it's in the gun. I'm sorry, when it's in the holster. So when the gun is in the holster, I want to mitigate how far back this magazine goes, because that's going to increase the requirement for me to have to work harder to conceal. The shorter the base pad, the easier it is for me to conceal. So if I'm trying to carry this small, compact, subcompact pistol, the last thing that I want to do is add length, making it harder to conceal. I might as well go back to the compacts. So when it comes time to the grip, I might not be able to get my grip, my pinky on that magazine. And if I can't, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wrap my finger underneath the magazine so that it basically moves into the heel of my hand. That's it. Everything else is going to remain the same. I'm going to grip the firearm in the exact same way that I would grip the firearm if I were holding a compact or full-size gun. I just have a smaller surface in order to do that. So I've got to make sure that I could still get all my grip touch points in place. So when it comes to understanding touch points, what are the touch points we're talking about? Well, we're talking about number one is going to be our pinkies. I want to make sure that my pinky can wrap around both my left and my right. Then I want to make sure that the heels of my hand are getting as much surface area on the grip and the back strap. Then I want to make sure that my thumbs are in line and touching the slide, or I'm touching the frame at least. All right, so when it comes to grip, what do I need to do to help with my recoil control? And the one thing that I tell people that's going to be super valuable is, it's actually three things when it comes to the grip, which is going to be to make sure that I'm applying super powerful crush grip with the pinkies. I want to make sure that I'm pressing my heels together, and then I want to make sure that my wrists are locked. If I don't squeeze with my pinkies being further away from the fulcrum point, which is right there at the trigger guard, the less leverage that I have. So if I squeeze really hard with the pinkies, I've got more leverage. The next thing I want to do is I want to apply pressure with my heels inward. Now, a lot of times people try to press their heels together, but another thing that you want to do is just rotate your elbows inward, just a slight amount. And that's going to help apply that inward pressure with your heels. The last thing is to make sure that my wrists are locked, because a lot of times what will happen is I might squeeze really hard with my hand, but my wrist is free to move. So I want to make sure that my wrist is locked. And if I can accomplish all three things, this creates that crush grip that's going to allow me to shoot these subcompacts a lot better. Now, the next thing we talk about is our gun mount, which is going to be basically with the handgun in my hand, I need to make sure that my shoulders are not rolled up or rolled forward. I need to keep active and neutral shoulders, which means that my shoulders are going to be basically in this position right here. I'm not going to want to do anything other than make sure that when I extend my arms out, I've got good tension from my arms to my shoulder to my lats. And if I have nice tension, if I can feel all of that tight, this gun isn't going anywhere. The next thing we talk about is going to be our stance. So when we have our gun mount, we have three joints. We have our shoulder joint, hip joint, ankle joint. The biggest mistake that we see is when you try to shoot any gun with the shoulder joint aligned with the hip joint. Because what that does, that puts a tremendous amount of force traveling rearward, which means that unless you are very aggressive on your toes, you're going to see the recoil impulse push you to the rear. So what we can do to compensate for this is make sure that my shoulder joint is in front of my hip joint. And all that means is that I'm just going to shift my weight forward. That little shift is huge, huge when it comes to recoil control. Now, the other thing that we talk about with our shooting stance is to make sure that my weight is on my toes. So here I am upright, perfectly upright. All my joints are in alignment, but I'm going to go from being on my heels to now being on my toes. Heels, toes. And as long as I can keep my weight on my toes, my recoil control is going to have the best chance of being successful. Best chance. All right, now, when it comes to trigger control, oh man, some of these older subcompact pistols had horrible triggers. I mean, it was like forever, or so gritty, or so heavy. But now we have a lot of triggers that are actually pretty high end as far as I'm concerned. A good example is the SIG P365. I love that trigger on there. I really have a hard time distinguishing between this small compact pistol and the full-size pistol. The trigger really is not so it's not so different that there's a really loud, you know, something jumping out at me to tell me that it's different, other than the size of the grip, of course. Now, the other thing that I suggest is that if you have really poor sight systems, maybe you consider aftermarket sights that are going to be a little bit more combat oriented, a little bit better for you to see. Again, I love these X-ray sights. They do everything that I need them to do and nothing more. Now, when it comes to the shooting and the performance that we're looking at, again, in order for me to have good recoil control, it means that I've got to start to accumulate rounds fired. So that means that you're going to want to look at a 3, 5, maybe even a 7 or 10 round drill where you're really having to focus on good recoil control. That means applying all the fundamentals that I've talked about at one time consistently and repeatedly. So let's go ahead and let's start with just a 3 round drill where I'm going to go ahead and apply all the fundamentals to the grip. Just want to work my grip right now. All right, so 3 round drill, good powerful grip. Make sure you pull that pinky in underneath. All right, here we go. Everything on my grip is applied. We're just going to go ahead and do 3 kind of quick shots. All right, nice. All right, I like that. I really wasn't doing anything other than just really working on my grip. Now, let's go ahead and take the grip and add our gun mount. So I want to now shift my shoulders slightly forward. So I'm not doing anything with my lower body yet, just shifting my shoulders slightly forward. And now we're going to go ahead and do a 5 round drill. All right, so I like that too. That worked out really well. Now, one of the other things that you have to work on is subcompacts require a little bit more reloading technique simply because they have typically smaller magazines. So I'm gonna go ahead and work whatever reload technique that you want, but just keep in mind that you're gonna probably have to work a little bit more on developing good reloading techniques with these subcompacts. All right, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add my stance. So I wanna make sure that I have my weight pushing forward on my toes. I want to make sure that my shoulders are active and neutral and my shoulder joint is in front of my hip joint. Then I want to make sure that I'm applying that crush grip with my strong and weak hand. All right, here we go. All right, so nice 10 round drill on that one. So a couple things that hopefully you started to take away is that as I incrementally apply each of those little things in kind of like a building block process, I get to the point where now I have the ability to build upon good technique. And that building allows me to ensure that my foundation is going to be able to handle a little bit of pressure, a little bit of stress, and not fall apart. So what are some drills that you can do to kind of help build your technique, right? I break it down into two different kind of scenarios. The first is going to be, what can I do that is going to force me to work on recoil control? What's a good drill that will do that for me? Some of the drills that I just did, great, obviously, but my favorite is to do a build drill. So the build drill is great in the sense that it's just going to be 6 rounds in rapid succession directed at, the A zone of your targets. Now, the nice thing about a build drill is that it's been shot for a long time, so there's plenty of metrics that allow you to gauge what you're capable of doing with that. But I like the build drill because not only do I have lots of past performance here, but I can then collect metrics for myself and build upon it, because it's really easy to see during that 6 round string if everything's working or if things are not working, because as you start to shoot that 6 round string, what you'll notice is that maybe your splits are not as consistent. And if your splits are not consistent, that means something in your technique is not working. Generally speaking, it's going to be related to the grips. All right, so now subcompacts, I've got to be able to do just about all the things that I might be expected to do in a deadly force encounter, which means I might have to deliver an accurate shot from an extended distance. Maybe I'm further back than the most popular ranges that we shoot, even up to the 10-yard line. So I might want to do some work from the 15, the 20, and even the 25-yard line. And one of my favorite drills is it's a drill that we shoot in all of our classes, all of our pistol classes, I should say, called a Tricom bullseye qual. And all it's from the 25-yard line. It's versus a bullseye type target. And it's 4 score, 5 rounds inside of 10 seconds. Now, the reason why there's a part-time there is that we just want to make sure that we're not taking too much time, because sometimes if we take too much time, we overthink things. And what I have found is that 10-second part-time is plenty of time for me to achieve my peak level of performance from a single gun mount. So I'm still having to incorporate my recoil control, but now I'm also having to add some accuracy with it. So again, bullseye style target, 25-yard line, 5 rounds in 10 seconds. As long as you are inside the 10-second, it's all about trying to get the highest score possible. So your highest score possible is 50 points. All right, so what else can you do to work on shooting subcompacts better? Well, in July at the SIG Academy, you can participate in SIG's first EDC P365 competition. And this is a competition that, unfortunately, the only way that you can shoot it is if you had a P365, but it's a great opportunity. They're gonna have a lot of stages for you to get a chance to see how well this performs and you perform in a little bit of a stressful condition. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna be there for sure. So if you're interested in that, make sure you go to SIG's website and check it all out. All right. I'm Jeff Gonzalez. If you have any questions or comments, or if you have some difficulty shooting some of these subcompacts, please list them down below in the replies, and I will do my best to try to respond to you, so give you a little bit of, personalized coaching there to see if we can make that happen. Won't be able to do it with everybody, but I'll do as many as I can. All right, until then, take care and stay safe.